Why? Are you aware that as a citizen, we have obligations that we need to do? Well, let's first identify what does obligation means and what kind of obligation I'm talking about. Public obligations refers to the variety of ways in which the public, including citizens, civil society organizations, academics, and other non-state actors interact directly with public authorities on fiscal policy design and implementation.
Why is that even essential? As a result, understanding how public finances work is critical to ensuring that a government runs efficiently. Public obligations can manifest in various forms and contexts and include a broader range of obligations than simply public debt. First, the explicit debt. Explicit debt is the most simple category and includes corresponds directly to the public debt. It includes all the money owed by the government to domestic and international lenders through issuance of bonds, promissory notes, and other debt instruments. Second is implicit debt. This category includes future liabilities heavily rely on a party's promises or social obligation, which may not always be legally enforceable but is reasonably expected to arise from current policies or programs.
Long-term promises and social payments are usually included in this. Typical example of implicit debt include pension plans for employees and healthcare provisions. Pension obligations, it is the future payments owed to current and retired government employees through pension programs. Healthcare provisions. A healthcare provision is a long-term cost associated with future healthcare needs, particularly in countries with large aging population. Despite the lack of legal obligations, effectively recognizing, managing, and meeting implicit debt is critical to achieving long-term economic growth and stability.
Third one is contingent liabilities. Contingent liabilities is a potential liability that may also arise in the future. Example includes pending lawsuits and warranties, guarantees for private loans and insurance liabilities. The fourth one is current liabilities. Current liabilities is known as a short-term financial obligations due within 1 year or within a normal operating cycle. Example includes accounts payable, payroll due, payroll taxes, accrued expenses, short-term notes payable, income taxes, interest payable, accrued interest, utilities, rental fees, and other short-term debts.
Public obligation has significance because it creates a foundation for moral conduct, social responsibility, and community well-being. It represents a wider realization that all entities, individuals, groups, or governments have a responsibility to promote a thriving and sustainable society. Remember, if we do our obligations as a citizen, it has a great impact in our economy, since it will increase recognized as a critical link in the chain between fiscal transparency, more effective accountability for public financial management, and better fiscal and development outcomes. The importance attached to public participation reflects the acceptance that citizens and civil society organizations are important agents of good governance and sustainable development alongside markets and the state.
Tax compliance campaign among businesses. It also expects higher revenue collection from the signing of a measure to improve the process of settling tax obligations. Jervis Manahan with that story.
Officials of the Bureau of Internal Revenue visited a high-end mall in Ortigas, Mandaluyong City on Thursday to check if businesses are compliant with their tax dues. They first visited a shop of a luxury brand of watches before proceeding to a famous cafe and bakery chain. They also visited a restaurant at the mall's food court. All shops were found to be compliant.
So far, okay naman, maayos naman, rehistrado naman at minsan lang may mga pagkukulang kung saan naka-display yung kanilang notice to issue receipts. So yan lang naman yung mga konting nakikita natin. Hopefully, lahat ng pagkukulang ng ibang mga taxpayers nationwide ay makorek nila.
Simultaneous tax mapping activities were also done all over the country. Officials inspected certificates of registration, book of accounts, and other permits. Lumagi promised the public that settling tax obligations will be effortless, especially now that the Ease of Paying Taxes Act has been signed to law.
We welcome that development dahil kasi minsan nung bago ng batas na yan, marami rin na restrictions at marami rin kaming hindi magawa dahil nga walang kaukulang batas. So with this ease of paying taxes ay mas maraming proseso ang pwede nating padaliin.
Lumagi also said he has met with Finance Secretary Ralph Recto to discuss his plans for the Bureau. Jervis Manahan, ABS-CBN News.
Ano nga ba ang role ng public obligation sa fiscal responsibility? In order to guarantee responsible fiscal responsibility, public obligation is essential, and here are the following ways that public obligation influences fiscal responsibility. Transparency and accountability. Paano nga ba nakakatulong ang public obligations when it comes to transparency and accountability? Governmental agencies and other public bodies are answerable to the general public for how they spend money from the public. Public obligation places a strong emphasis on the value of transparency in financial dealings, budgets, and spending so that people may see how their money is being spent. Effective governance. Public obligation encourages prudent financial decision-making which advances the government. It advocates for fiscal policy when proceeding to keep the public long-term welfare top priority while taking the effect of financial decisions on the economy, society, and environment into account. Citizen engagement. Citizens take an active role in decision-making in a system that is fiscally prudent. Engagement is stimulated by public obligation, which gives people the ability to express their views on public spending, taxes, and financial goals.
Ethical financial practices. Ethical financial management practices are necessary for fiscal responsibility. Public obligation make sure that public servants and organizations handle public finances responsibly, preventing fraud, corruption, and resource mismanagement. Long-term sustainability. Public obligation emphasizes the value of long-term sustainability and goes beyond immediate financial gain. This involves making sure that resources are used effectively and responsibly, as well as taking into account how financial decisions may affect future generations.
Responsive public servants. Fiscal responsibility means delivering quality to public services that satisfy the needs of the population. Financial resources are allocated to services that enhance the community and promote general well-being because of public obligation. Public trust and confidence. Respecting public obligations promotes confidence in public institutions and the government. People are more inclined to support fiscal policies and pay their taxes when they feel that their money is being spent sensibly and for the benefit of society.
Legal compliance. Laws and regulations pertaining to finances must be complied with through public entities. Public obligations serve as further justifications for following these rules, preventing financial mismanagement and guaranteeing that public funds are used legally. By establishing accountability, ethical behavior, transparency, and citizen participation in financial decisions, public obligations plays a critical role in promoting fiscal responsibility. It creates a foundation for fiscal responsibility that benefits the public's present and future generations.
Obligation plays a significant role in fiscal responsibility, which refers to the government's commitment sa pag-manage ng finances in a prudent and accountable manner. Fiscal responsibility involves making sound fiscal decisions to achieve economic stability, sustainability, and long-term growth. Here are some key aspects of the role of obligation in fiscal responsibility. Debt management. Governments often incur debt management to finance public expenditures. Fiscal responsibility requires managing this debt wisely, ensuring na it remains sustainable and hindi ito nag-lead to fiscal crisis. Fulfilling debt obligations, including interest payments and principal repayments, is a fundamental aspect of fiscal responsibility to maintain the government's credit worthiness. Budgetary discipline. Fiscal responsibility entails creating and adhering the well-structured budget that allocate resources efficiently and address the priorities of the government and its citizens. Ang government ay mayroong obligation sa pagkontrol ng spending, avoid budget deficit, and strive for fiscal balance or surplus to ensure the long-term fiscal health of the nation.
Transparency and accountability. Transparency in fiscal matters is crucial for fiscal responsibility. Ang governments ay mayroong obligation na mag-provide ng accurate and accessible information about their financial activities sa public. Accountability mechanisms katulad ng independent audits and oversight by legislative bodies nakakatulong to ensure that financial decisions are made responsibly and in the best interest of the public.
Revenue management. Governments have an obligation to establish fair and effective tax policies to generate revenue. This involves balancing the need for revenue with the economic impact of taxes. Fiscal responsibility includes effort to broaden the tax base, enhance tax compliance, and explore alternative revenue sources to reduce dependency on a narrow tax structure. Long-term fiscal sustainability. Governments must consider the long-term impact of fiscal policies on the sustainability of public finances. This includes addressing demographic challenges such as an aging population and implementing policies that promote integrational equity. In summary, obligations in fiscal responsibility encompasses a range of activities, from managing debt and budgetary discipline to promoting transparency, accountability, and sustainable fiscal practices. By fulfilling these obligations, government can contribute to economic stability, foster investor confidence, and ensure the well-being of their citizens over the long term.
Public obligation. Public.
And promote. Ate mo?